Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome to my channel. Today we are doing October releases. I have so many books to talk about in this video. September, October, November, this time of year is always jam-packed with new releases. If you haven't seen one of these videos before, I always give the same disclaimer. This is not an exhaustive list of the new releases. These are simply the books that I am personally excited about. If you follow me over on Instagram, I do new release stories whenever a book is released. So if there's something that is announced like on the 10th of October and it comes out 2 days later, it will be over on my Instagram stories. Since this video is going to be so long, let's get right into it. As always, these will be organized by release date. So starting with October 3rd, there are 2 books coming out. First is The Stars Are on Our Side by Jennifer Hartman, which I have already read, and I will actually be featuring in a video coming on Friday. So I'm not going to spend too much time here, but essentially this is the follow-up to Lotus and Still Beating. It is following Tabitha. If you've read the first 2 books, you know who Tabitha is, and it is following the best friend of the heroine in Lotus. So you do need to have read those previous books, but essentially we are getting their best friends to lovers romance. It's a really heavy. Tabitha went through abduction and torture and all of this stuff. So big content warnings on this one, but if you want my full thoughts and everything like that, you can watch the vlog that is coming on Friday. And then the other book on this day, I ignore the weird jump and background, but I got this book on the wrong day originally, is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This is a gothic fantasy horror. The town of Eden, Kentucky is just another dying bad luck town known only for the legends of E. Starling, the reclusive 19th century author and illustrator who wrote The Underland and disappeared. Before she vanished, Starling House appeared, but everyone agrees that it's best to let the uncanny house and the last lonely heir go to rot. Our heroine knows better than to mess with haunted houses or brooding men, but an unexpected job offer might be the chance to get her brother out of Eden. Too quickly, though, Starling House starts to feel dangerously like something she's never had. A home. As sinister forces converge on Starling House, our heroine and the heir are going to have to make a dire choice to dig up the buried secrets of the past and confront their own fears, or let our heroine be taken over by literal nightmares. Alex E. Harrow is an author I've read from before. I've really liked her writing, so I'm excited to read that one, and I do have an arc of this one, and it will be coming in a vlog. On October 5th, we have Clueless Puck Boy by Eden Finley and Saxon James, which is book 5 in the Puck Boy series. It is part of their Satan universe, so all of these books are kind of like tied together, but this is a professional hockey romance. It looks like it's following Quinn and Vance. I am a couple books behind on the series, so I don't want to read the full synopsis, but these stories are usually super steamy and really funny. They're usually rom-com-esque, not super angsty. They're usually just light and funny and a really good time. On to October 6th, we have 2 more indie books. One is Charming as Hell by Sarah Blue, which is the 3rd book in her Charming series. This isn't listed as a series anywhere, but they're all connected. I was really hoping that this was going to be the throuple that was introduced in book 1. It is not. This is Mara's romance, which is a character that you learn about in Charming Your Dad. You could probably read these all out of order if you really wanted. You just don't get the introduction of the characters in the same way. But this is a paranormal fantasy romance that is following the devil and his demons and all of the people around him. This one is following Mara, and Mara is having a polyam romance, I think with 3 other demons. I have a feeling this is going to be a bonkers good time. This series isn't super deep. It's not super intense. It is pure enjoyment. So if you're looking for something that is seasonal and steamy and just a really freaking good time, check this series out. And then another sequel, this is the month of sequels, Fire in the Moonlight by Drea Anderson, which is the 3rd and final book in the Georgia Arcane series. Drea Anderson wrote One Night, One Bite, which was one of my favorite books, I think of, was that August? I don't even remember anymore. And I've decided to go back and pick up some of her backlist. And this series is following these 3 sisters who are all blessed with magic. And I think each book is following a different sister as they get their HEA. that is pretty much all I know about it. There is no synopsis as far as I can tell on Goodreads for this third book. Plus, I wouldn't want to read the synopsis of the third book in a series. That's pretty much all I've got. I assume that it's set in Georgia. So I'm guessing like Southern paranormal. And then onto the 10th. The first book is one that I definitely want to recommend, and that is Stars in Your Eyes by Case and Callender. This is going to be a favorite book of the year for me. If you watched my reset, I completely raved about this book because it is fantastic. It is a contemporary romance that is following these two actors. They are both openly queer Black actors, and they are now starring in a like gay romance movie together. And the two of them don't get along right away, and one of them is a complete mess. And in order to save the movie and his reputation, the two actors need to pretend to date because the other actor is kind of like the good boy of Hollywood. And throughout this story, we are learning about the severe trauma that these two are going through, particularly our hero that is kind of seen as like the bad boy and the hot mess of Hollywood. And you are learning about his CPTSD and all of the awful things that have kind of been the result of him being famous or have led to him being famous. And then the two of them trying to find a little bit of hope and happiness and love along the way. It is beautifully, beautifully written. I need Case and Callender to write more adult books because this was frickin' everything. Where are we gonna put this? The next book on the 10th is Better Hate Than Never by Chloe Leese, which is the follow-up to Two Wrongs Make a Right. I've also read this one. Look at me. And this one was really great. This is following the youngest sister of the three sisters from that first book. And she has been traveling for most of her adult life because she's a photographer. And she ends up coming home when one of the twins goes and starts traveling. You as a reader know that she kind of has hit a rut and she needs to take a break from her photography and figure out what is next for her. And she has this very intense antagonistic relationship with their neighbor. He has always kind of been a part of their family because he lost his parents at a very young age, and he grew up next door to them, and he was kind of like adopted into their family. But the two of them have never gotten along. There's a little bit of an age gap, I think like 4-ish years, and she's the only one that has never kind of like latched onto him. And you learn that the reason that they have this antagonistic relationship is because the hero has been lusting after her for a very long time, and he is very scared of her wild lifestyle, and it is the two of them having an enemies to lovers romance, and it is fantastic. Highly recommend this one. This also has chronic illness rep. The hero suffers from migraines and the heroine is neurodiverse. She has ADHD. So like as always with every Chloe Leese book, the representation in here. The next book is Last to Leave the Room by Caitlin Starling, who is the author of The Death of Jane Lawrence, which I did read, I think it was last year, and it wasn't my favorite. However, I didn't know at that point that this author was going to go paranormal with her stories, and now that I know that, I'm really excited to give this author another try. So the synopsis for this one says that the city is sinking. The basement of Dr. Rivers, the arrogant, selfish head of the research team assigned to find the source of the subsidence, is sinking faster. As she grows obsessed with the disorienting dimensions of the room at the bottom of the stairs, she finds a door that didn't exist before, and one night it opens to reveal an exact physical copy of her. The doppelganger is sweet and biddable, where she is calculating and cruel. It appears fully, terribly human, passing every test she can devise. But the longer that the double exists, the more that she begins to forget pieces of her life, to lose track of time, and to grow terrified of the outside world. As her employer grows increasingly suspicious, she must try to hold herself together long enough to figure out what her double wants from her and just where the mysterious door leads. I'm really excited to read this one. It sounds horrifying. Oh, and I will be vlogging that one. And then the last book on this day is another one that I've already read, and that's Love and Other Risky Business by Sarah Brenton. And this one is a friends to lovers, super steamy romance, and it has so many weird similarities to Better Hate Than Never, and not in plot. Like there was no way that these authors knew about these like really similar things, but this one is a friends to lovers romance, and these two have been best friends for a very long time, and the heroine works in wardrobe for like actors and movie sets and all this stuff, but she has been working on a like lingerie line, particularly panties and like period panties, and her best friend is a stunt double. He has kind of always been like a risk taker and an adrenaline junkie. He has been in love with her for a very long time, pretty much since they've met, and she's kept him at arm's length because she's scared of his risky life. The hero ends up getting injured and kind of needs to reevaluate his life, and the two of them are forced together, so there's like a forced proximity aspect to it, and it's really steamy. It's really cute. These two fall so hard for each other. I loved that there was a pining hero. Our hero is bi as well, and so there's just it was really good. It was really good. Again, was it the most like complex and deep novel I've ever read? No. But it was a hella good time. And then on to the 12th, we have 3 more books. Another sequel, Madam by Sarah Kate, is the final book in the Salacious Players Club. And this one is following Eden, who we have kind of met throughout this series. And I believe that this is an FFM romance. I, along with everyone else, was kind of hoping for just a sapphic romance, but you know what? I'm here for the polyam. Eden is a professional dom at the Salacious Players Club, and I believe she is training like a woman to be a submissive. She is already dating a man, and the two of them are brought in together. And it's a polyam romance between the 3 of them. I'm excited for it. I did not like the last book, but I'm hopeful for this one. Then we have The Bone Collector, which is the first book in the Watch series by Onley James. And this is the second spin-off of the Necessary Evil series. And so we're getting 2 spin-offs, like kind of at the same time. This one is the Jericho Boys, and it is the vigilante killers that work with Atticus and Jericho. And this one is set at the Watch, which is Archer's project. And this is more vigilante killers. These ones are not psychopaths. These ones are. I believe this one is following a teacher who has been a licensed killer for like his whole life, and he gets sidelined and has to work at the Watch teaching these psychopaths, and he ends up falling in love with one of the students who is a psychopathic killer. And I'm assuming it is their like age gap forbidden romance. Onley James's books are usually over the top enough to where I don't have the same reservations about tropes as I do in more contemporary stories. I'm so much better about suspending any holdups and beliefs that I have for this because it's already so ridiculous and crazy. On the 13th, Friday the 13th, we have Creepy Court, a monster mall anthology featuring a whole bunch of classic monster romance authors. Bright neon lights are humming, tunes are cranked to the max, and everyone from preppies to punk rockers are chilling at the Creepy Court Mall, the happening place in town. But behind the glam, things are stranger than they seem. Gnarly monsters hide in plain sight, and they're on the prowl for their perfect mate. So mall rats, tease out those bangs and tight roll those jeans and bounce to the mall today. It sounds like it's going to be utterly ridiculous. And I'm ready for some ridiculous monster 80s romance for Halloween. On to the 17th, we have Life is Better With You by Shannon Page, which is another friends to lovers romance, and this is also fake dating. It says, Luke is my best friend at the office, a cinnamon roll in human form, always looking out for me and everyone else around him. He's sexy in a nerdy way and not my type at all. My abandonment issues would never let me pick a guy like Luke. So when he needs a fake girlfriend to bring home for a holiday wedding, I agree. It's not like I'm going to fall in love with him. I've been pining for Aspen for years. Her beauty, that adorable birthmark, and her intelligence. She's perfect. Too bad the feeling is totally unrequited and she's got me chilling in the friend zone. Moving out of state for a job promotion is my remedy for getting over her and moving on. Now we're back in my childhood home and stuck sharing one bed. Can I survive being so close to her without professing my undying love, especially since she has no idea I'm moving away after the new year? This sounds so cute. I believe this is the start of a contemporary romance series by this author. I think this also might be a debut, and I am considering holding on to this one for a December video. Then we also have The Unmaking of June Pharaoh by Adrienne Young, which is one of my most anticipated books of the entire year. And this is a like fantasy, mystery, thriller sort of deal. In the small mountain town of Jasper, North Carolina, June is waiting for fate to find her. The Pharaoh women are known for their thriving flower farm and the mysterious curse that has plagued their family line. The whole town remembers the madness that led to Susanna Pharaoh's disappearance, leaving June to be raised by her grandmother and haunted by rumors. It's been a year since June started seeing and hearing things that weren't there, the signs of what June always knew was coming. But June is determined to end the curse once and for all, even if she must sacrifice finding love and finding a family of her own. After her grandmother's death, June discovers a series of cryptic clues regarding her mother's decades-old disappearance, except they only lead to more questions. But could the door she once assumed was a hallucination be the answer she's been searching for? The next time it appears, June realizes she can touch it and walk past the threshold. When she does, she embarks on a journey that will not only change both the past and the future, but also uncover the lingering mysteries of her small town and entangle her heart in an epic star-crossed love. I think Adrienne Young's writing is stunning, and these like slightly lightly magical romance contemporaries are my fave. Another book out on this day is 10 Things That Never Happened by Alexis Hall. This is the third book in the London Calling series, something like that. But this is the third book after Boyfriend Material and Husband Material, but it's following two different characters. I believe they are side characters from those previous books. I might be making that up, but this is a fake amnesia, enemies to lovers, grumpy sunshine coworker romance. Essentially, one of our heroes ends up like doing something really embarrassing, really bad, and he thinks that he's about to get fired, and then he ends up smacking his head and accidentally makes the boss think that he has amnesia, and he doesn't want to get fired, so he just keeps going with it and just pretending that he forgot everything. And the two of them have a grumpy sunshine romance. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be so funny and ridiculous. I love how like humorous the series is. Alexis Hall's range is just top tier. He can write anything from books that make me sob to books that crack me up. One of my most anticipated books for the whole month is Outfield Assist by Kat Giraldo. This is the follow-up to Wild Pitch. I had no idea this book was coming, but I'm so excited for it. This is an MMF polyam romance. We are following a female coach and two baseball players. I believe one is like his career's over after like losing his Olympic dream, and the other one is in the off season for baseball. And the series can be read out of order, so I don't know if this is following any characters from that book, but it was so good. And Kat Giraldo usually does really diverse romances. I believe all of the main characters in this one are BIPOC. Don't hold me to that. On the 24th, we have Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake, which is a sapphic romance, third book in the Bright Fall series. The first book is Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and this is following the final friend, Iris. And Iris got out of a long-term relationship, I think in book 2, if I'm remembering correctly, and she is kind of struggling because her best friends are now in love and having these beautifully epic romances, and she ends up having the most embarrassing and terrible one-night stand with this woman and is ready to just forget that it ever happened, but she shows up to audition for a play, and I believe that the woman is there, and the two of them end up needing to fake date. I have really enjoyed this series. Book 2 wasn't my absolute favorite, but I really loved book 1. I'm excited for this one. And then the last book on this list, on the 29th, is Hot for Teacher, which has been on my radar forever because this cover got released and I immediately had to read it. This is like a parent-teacher romance. It says our heroine is a divorced single mother who never does anything reckless. After meeting a handsome stranger, she has a one-night stand. But 1 week later, she finds out that he is her son's new teacher. I'm excited for it. It sounds like this is the start of a series as well. It says it's the start of a trilogy. So I'm really excited for this one. I'm excited to try out a new author. So that is all for October. Like I said, I'm sure there are more, and I'm sure I'm missing some, and I'm going to be mad at myself for missing them. If I figure out what they are before this video goes up, It'll be down below. Otherwise, you can always check out my Instagram for any new releases. I will probably start a highlight over on Instagram to save all of the new releases, so you can also check that out. Let me know what books you are most excited for in October. Let me know if there are any that you think I should add to this list. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it this far, I will see you in my next video. Bye!